webinar is sponsored by the CTE Technical Assistance Center of New York. A few technical points before we begin. All attendees are initially muted. We will take comments and questions throughout the webinar. To pose a question, click the raise your hand icon and you will be announced and unmuted to ask your question. You may also submit a question to be addressed by typing it into the questions pane on the control panel. All questions are logged and unanswered questions will be addressed by today's presenter via email. If you become disconnected, please call us at 518-723-2137. For your information and reference, today's webinar is being recorded and will be available for viewing on the CTE Technical Assistance Center website at nyctcenter.org within 72 hours. If you have questions or suggestions regarding upcoming webinars, please contact the Technical Assistance Center at ctetac@spnet.us.
Muted.
Sue, this is Gretchen interrupting. The audience cannot hear you, so we're going to need you to disconnect your telephone and call back in.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, Sue, we can hear you.
Okay. Are we ready now?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, folks. Welcome again to my current work-based learning students from Buffalo State and my WECA friends and my former students. Sorry for all the problems, but you have to laugh sometimes at technology. Our objectives are to look at the end goal for work-based learning. We're going to match the standards to the end goals and take a look at what does really designate a quality work-based learning program. So first we're going to start off a very quick poll. I would like you, the audience, to choose all the indicators that you think could be part of a quality-based work-based learning program. So Gretchen's putting up the poll now. I see it. Just select the ones that you think apply, and then we will take a summary and see what we have. Are we ready, Gretchen? All right, let's see. Our results are people feel that a quality-based is a large number of student participants, large amount of work-based learning hours, students are paid, students leave school early. It looks like it's the number of work-based learning hours that would make a quality program. Well, I don't know. We'll have to see when we finish my webinar if you maybe change your mind on this. So I'll go back to my slide. Thank you. All right, the end goal in mind is, with any work-based learning program, is quality, a meaningful, significant experience, and the experience should be a target towards his or her career pathway. That's what a good work-based learning program will do. So let's meet two students. First, we have Mario. Mario is enrolled in a carpentry program because his uncle is a carpenter, and he knows his uncle makes good money. He has been attending the carpentry class, but there so far hasn't been any assessment as to does he really want to be a carpenter, and no assessment as far as his skills and what he's learning. Mario is placed at a lumberyard for his work-based learning experience, and unfortunately there's no training plan or in-depth evaluation process of Mario's experiences. At the end of the school term, Mario informs his guidance counselor that he would like to go to college to study something else other than carpentry. So here we have maybe not such a great experience. What went wrong? Well, let's take a look at Jennifer. Jennifer now has taken several career assessment inventories to validate her interest in the architecture and construction career cluster, which would lead her to various careers related to carpentry. Jennifer's career plan shows her several typical ladders that would include both on-the-job training and post-secondary education pathways. Jennifer's career and technical education class links all the elements of CDOS, college and career readiness, Common Core, 21st century skills. She's graduating from high school with her e-portfolio of resources, which contains her employability profile, training plan, resume, cover letter, and list of employers who hire students with construction skills. So I think you could see Jennifer's experience was much more meaningful than Mario's. The end goal, Jennifer has been shadowing, has guest speakers, field trips, an internship, all been recorded and reflected in her e-portfolio. She has received good recommendations from her teachers and employers, and upon graduation, Jennifer is ready to follow her career plan to the next step of education and employment. And that's what we want our work-based learning program and CTE classes to do. So how do we do this? What's the connection? How can we make sure that we have more Jennifer experiences and less Mario experiences? So our first step is to take a look at the essential components for quality standards for work-based learning. And here basically we have three. We have career assessment, which includes research and exploration and the beginning of a career plan. We need good related instruction in the classrooms, the CTE classrooms, of specific job skills, 21st century skills, and tools for career advancement. And we need a good training site placement that includes a training plan, an employer assessment, and a good work-based learning experience. And if we look at these, they do relate to the career assessments is the first CDOS standard. The related instruction is the second CDOS standard of integrated learning. The training site placement does match the CDOS 3A and 3B CDOS standards. So it's important that we do look at these elements right in the beginning to make sure we have a strong background in the young people's training. Now we can take the same elements with CDOS and we can match them to the Common Core, because now with the Common Core there'll be a large amount of nonfiction type of career research reading. There will be math, real-world problems of budget and salary considerations. The integrated learning, too, will be nonfiction skill manuals in the classroom and more job-related math of calculating, measuring, estimating, balancing, and so forth. And then also in the universal skills, we have continued reading, learning about all aspects of industries, learning about different types of jobs, and more math that's involved. So we're constantly connecting our basic work-based learning essential components to the standards. Here now we're connecting them to the transferable 21st century skills to the workplace and to our work-based learning program. The 21st century skills, sometimes or many times an employer may say these are even more important than the specific job skills. These are the skills that are going to make a good employee understand, work hard, and work towards his or her future. So the career assessments In the 21st century skills, the skills of research and exploration, use of technology. In related instruction, the 4 C's of the 21st century skills are definitely demonstrated: communications, creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, technology, and career management. And then finally, the training site placement can be transferred in the 21st century skills using the 4 C's as we had mentioned before. We finally have another group of standards that are called college and career readiness. And many of our schools have already talked about, they know what college ready means, being able to go to college without taking courses, remedial courses, and to be right on step with what they should be doing. But they've always wondered about, what does it mean to be career ready? Well, work-based learning can help students become career ready, because career ready means a career plan of knowing who I am and where I'm going, knowing what choices do I have of post-secondary education and training, linking the classroom instruction to real-world application, class outcomes of an employment profile and employability toolkit, and then also real-world experiences help making those career decisions. And in a workplace training, it's on the job as well as virtual and online. There's one set of standards that has just recently emerged, and that is the next generation science standards. And those standards also can be matched across the board from our essential components, CDOS, Common Core, 21st century, college and career, and the science standards. Let's see if we can apply and extend some of these things that I just mentioned. You remember Mario did not have any career assessments, and that he decided to become a carpenter because his uncle was a carpenter and he made good money. Well, really, Mario and Jennifer, who we do know, should take some type of career assessment that will help them focus on what are their strong interests and personality traits. The best assessment that we all use is the Dr. John Holland Code, and it is based upon these 6 interests of realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. And that if you do take the John Holland Code, which here I am, I can bring it up, there are many forms of the Dr. John Holland Code that you can use. The code can be, or the activity can be found at the New York State Career Zone, which is, most of us know about that. And on the Career Zone, you can take the simple assessment by using the different boxes here and making choices, or there's actually an online exam that you can take. The results are important in finding out what are the students' strong interests, and then even more, how do you apply those interests. Oops, sorry, I think it went too far. Here we go. So for example, if Mario took that assessment, we would have found out that Mario was enterprising, conventional, and social. His code is ECS. Okay? Jennifer, same interest in carpentry, but her code is R for realistic, conventional, and investigative. Well, if you know the student's code, you can help them match their code to job titles and to industries. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So here, the resource that we're going to use in a second comes from the U.S. government. It's called the ONET site. And if we looked up on the ONET site for Mario's code of ECS, we would have found out that he is really best suited for sales, showroom, customer service, and account manager. These are just some of the job titles that have these 3 letters of interest. Jennifer, on the other hand, her code being RCI, happened to actually match carpenter, electrician, plumber, and roofer. And I'm going to show you how you can find these codes in ONET. But right away, I think the student, counselor, teacher would know that Mario, maybe the carpentry was not exactly the right program for him, and he should have considered something else. Jennifer was right on track. We can also use the code and ONET site to create the training plan. And the training plan can be a fantastic, useful document in guiding the student on where he or she should be going. I'm going to show you the training plan in a little more depth here, if I can open this up. No? It's more than one page. It starts off with, of course, the student name and so forth, but it has the job title and a place to put the John Holland Code interest, the school coordinator, the employer, who's the immediate supervisor, the address and so forth, the training schedule, right? The insurance coverage, who's going to cover what, transportation, who's going to provide the transportation, and then the first section is the goals for this work-based learning student. What is the experience this student should have? What should he or she master? What should they be trained in? And so the next section would be the job tasks that are going to be measured at the work site. These job tasks come from the ONET site, which I'll be showing you. The 21st century skills. Here are the skills we talked about. That should be measured at the job site. Does the student work cooperatively as a team member? Always, frequently, occasionally, rarely. Then the next section is safety training, all part of the training plan. What safety training has gone on? What was the date of the safety training? Did the student pass the quiz or the demonstration of it? Dress and behavior code, also evaluated. So this is the job, it's the training plan. Let me go back to our PowerPoint. And I had mentioned to you before about that on the training plan, you would get the tasks that the student would be performing. So now I'm going to go over to the ONET site that I have opened up. There we go. This is ONET. And you know you will be getting all the slides and the paperwork. That'll all be posted. For you to have. I've typed in the job that I want to find is carpenter, and I think I should spell it right, and that will make it better. Okay. I'm sure some of you have used ONET already. There we are. I'm going to click off carpenters from the top of the list, and one more time for construction carpenters. And let me see if I can't make this any bigger on my screen. So what you will see here is a summary report for construction carpenters. It will give us a list of tasks, tools, knowledge, skills, abilities, work attitudes, work context, job zone, education, and interests, as well as some other tabs. So right here, the tasks that are listed for carpenters, this is what you would use to fill in the training plan for your quality work-based learning program. Tools and technology, this is what you would use to fill in your training plan. If you click on the word interest, which I will do, here is the code for carpenter. So as I mentioned before, that Jennifer had the realistic conventional code, and that would make her right on target to have some type of occupation in carpentry or related jobs that have the same code. So this is the beauty of ONET, is that our government has created this site, has made it easier for we work-based learning coordinators to create our training plans, to provide quality training, and also to match it to the students' interests. So if you have questions about, oops, sorry about that. That we'll have time to answer questions. So I talked quite quickly to get through all of this because to make up for some time. Here we go. We have a poll once more at the end here. Choose all the indicators that should be part of a quality work-based program. So Gretchen, would you put up the poll this time? And let's see if we agree with what the indicators should be. Okay. Please select all that apply: career assessments, rigorous and relevant training, employability skills, career plan and e-portfolio, training plan. All right. So it looks like we have almost selection of all that are for a quality program. Well, thank you for choosing those, because those are the right answers. And that previous poll that we had much earlier about large amounts of hours, getting paid on the job, those are all possible outcomes of work-based learning, but really are not the indicators that we're looking for, because a good work-based learning program can be both paid or non-paid. What's important is that it focuses on what the student really wants to do by his or her interests, and it has a good training plan that guides the student in the direction of getting a really good work experience. So this is what we've done. We've aligned the work-based learning essential components. All right, we've looked at college and career readiness outcomes. We've looked at career assessment. We've looked at the training plan. All of these items are also in our New York State Work-Based Learning Manual, which you can access and learn more about. And this is just a little bit something about myself. In the beginning, I quickly went over that I teach the 2 work-based learning classes for Buffalo State. I'm happy to say we have a nice big class of 85 students this semester, and they're doing a great job. Much of what I've done in work-based learning and career development is based upon a book I wrote, Games to Careers, and a program that I have on online, online career adventure called Extreme Intern. So, do we have questions? That was a quick presentation.
We don't have any questions.
Do we have anybody left?
Yeah, you
All right, students, you got to ask some questions.
Okay, we have someone raising their hand, so I'm going to unmute Kathleen DeKalb to ask.
Okay.
Kathleen?
Hello.
Hi, Kathy.
Hello. Can you hear
Kathy?
me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. We had a meeting today, and you mentioned something tonight. We have a science teacher that's interested in doing like a health science program for our work-based learning program. You mentioned CTE programs, but could we slide our CDOS students into that and still be?
Well, I don't see why not. You know, all students are CDOS students. The CDOS standards are for K through 12 for every single student. Sometimes we forget that. We remember if we're in CTE that we use the CDOS, but sometimes the academic teachers did not realize that those were standards for them to meet also. So when you say slide your students into a science program or slide the standards into the science program?
No, I'm thinking of our CDOS credential students.
Oh, I see, the CDOS credential students.
Yeah.
All right, and in the CDOS credential, they certainly are to meet the CDOS standards.
Right.
Right?
Right. Okay, so it doesn't have to be these courses. We are integrating all students in these courses, but if we had a separate class just for these special needs students taught by an academic teacher, that will meet the credential standards is what I guess what I'm asking. Okay.
Right. A school district can create a course to be skill training, employability, readiness type of course, and it may not be giving CTE credit, but it could be an elective course that certainly would incorporate all the CDOS standards and the skill training that these students who are going to get the CDOS credential really need.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Okay, we have another audience member raising their hand, Joanne Stump. I'm going to unmute you. So you...
Okay. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, Susan.
Hi.
I am a K-12 counselor in a small school district, and I am currently working with our business teacher, and we have a group of students that we were able to get about $80,000 grant through WIA in-school money, and we are putting those students out into the workplace, as well as they are enrolled in a class with us.
Okay.
During high school. And we haven't really done a full work plan or a career plan with our students. And as I listen to you go through the Career Zone and the ONET and so on, I'm thinking about how we can bring some of that into not only just this one group of students that's WIA eligible, but bringing it to the larger group of our students in our high school, which is, probably about 300 kids.
Right.
Total, 9 through 12. And is that the goal then that we should be working toward, and how well are other schools doing? Are we way behind?
Well, I don't know if I could talk about the other schools. I think some schools are doing a lot of good things, and they're including a lot of their students, and then others are just realizing that they need to do something because of being college and career ready, and as well as we want our young people to finish college in 2 or 4 years and not the 6 years. I know some of the schools now are starting the career awareness in 8th grade, and they are working various different types of programs for all students from 8th grade through 12th grade. For example, in 8th grade, there is a home and careers class, a family and consumer science class that all students take, and they usually do some career-related activity. That's a perfect place for all your students to start learning about the John Holland Code and taking their first assessment.
Okay.
And I'm quite sure that the FACS teachers use the John Holland Code. What's important is that the results from that code are then carried on to 9th grade, and that those results appear in the students' records, so that in 9th grade, what you want to do is actually give the students another form of the John Holland Code. I really think students need to take that assessment 2 or 3 times to make sure that we do have the right interest areas. And so again, that should be recorded and passed on to the 10th grade counselors. Right? If you start to use the John Holland Code with the New York State Career Zone, they have a wonderful career plan right online in which it will save the students' career decisions from 8th grade through 12th grade. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You have things that are there that are you can access, and they are for free, and they will do a very good job in helping students meet the CDOS standards and know who they are and what choices they have. Does that help?
Yes, that helps. Could you, for just a minute, talk about are your games to careers, is that more younger student oriented?
Actually, the Games to Careers was written for parents, and it was something that I experienced with my own son, that I watched him, what type of games he played and how he played with them, and automatically, I have my own counseling license, I could see that what type of work made him happy. And we use that to follow through that, well, if you like Legos and building and so forth, then let's think about these high school courses that you will be taking. So it's sort of a connection of what you played as a child are direct clues for careers you should choose in the future. And as you know, as I was showing with Mario and Jennifer, if you know that code, you could use that code to really make some good decisions about high school courses, careers, and also in the book Games to Careers, there's a section on college majors. Colleges have analyzed each major and matched it to the code. So there's another connection there, as well as the U.S. military has taken all of their job titles and matched it to the John Holland Code.
Okay.
Right? So that code is really very important.
Very good.
All right. The Extreme Intern is an online adventure that is free. There's no charge for that. You go online and you take the assessments, and then you go and work for a fictitious company called Global Planet Solutions, and you go around the world trying out internships based upon your code.
Okay, so you'd have to do the John Holland Code first.
and that's part of the online adventure.
Okay, great. And that is for high school students?
It's actually, again, for middle school. It was written or created for 9th and 10th graders, but it could be used all the way up through first and second year of college. It's a lot of fun. It has talking avatars and a lot of color and a lot of different types of activities.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Any other questions?
We do. We have quite a few that were typed in. I'm going to read them off.
Okay.
Received. The first one is, who gives the ONET test guidance?
Who gives the ONET test guidance?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not exactly sure how to answer that. I just that the ONET is a site. They do have the Holland code on the site. You can take the same assessment on that site. But the site is really meant for you to say, I'm interested in careers in agriculture. What are the job titles? When you look at the job titles, then you can look at the interest areas, which will give you the code, as well as the tasks and everything else and the education required. So it's you know, it's an updated form of the Dictionary of Occupational Titles.
Okay. The next question, why only an e-portfolio? Why not a career portfolio as well?
Okay, I'd probably use the term e-portfolio, meaning it's electronic. So it's really any type of portfolio that a student would accumulate his or her work over the years through high school, whether it's a good essay they wrote or a social studies project or a career research report or resume. Just the student should be leaving with a portfolio of good examples.
Okay. The next question is, I don't work in CTE. Are there samples of an e-portfolio you would share, or does that come later in the course?
There's many samples of e-portfolios I'd be happy to share. I think my email is up on the top of the screen there, so if that person would like to email me, I'd be happy to email some connections to e-portfolios. They're used at the K through 12 level, but they're also being used at the college level. There are many colleges now that have purchased online software, so when you start in your freshman year, everything you do in college goes into your portfolio. It's fascinating what they're doing with this.
The next question is, I understand that students can work in the summer and get credit for work-based learning, but how do we train, evaluate, and do site visitations?
Okay, if you are going to count hours for summer employment, your school district needs to employ someone who is going to supervise those students. First, that person employed needs to place the student, which means checking out the work site to make sure it's a safe work site, and then that individual should be doing some of the basic career assessments and setting up the training plans and evaluations and going to the work sites. But there should be an adult who is in charge and responsible for the safety of the children.
The next question is, what is your first choice career assessment / inventory tool? Would it be Extreme Intern or Career Zone?
Well, I think both of them use the same assessment, so I think both are great. It's good to have several to choose from because we have a number of years that they'll be in our high schools, and so you could use them both at the same time. So I think they're good. Both of them are good. Look at both and make a decision.
We have another one. It's a bit of a long question, so bear with me.
Okay.
For a CTE program, there is a requirement of having work-based learning components, but they focus mainly on internships in order to get certified by the state, and there are not specifics regarding time invested on work-based learning activities. Do you know of any specifics regarding what is acceptable for the state?
Well, if I understand this correctly, it sounds like a school that has a approved CTE sequence for graduation. And if they do, then one of the components would mean that students have access to work-based learning activities. Right? There's no mandate that they must have a certain amount of hours. They should have access to work-based learning activities. Now, certainly, the CTE program is going to be 100% better if the student has access to all different types of activities while he or she is in that pathway, whether it be guest speakers, field trips, career reports, mentoring, shadowing, and then a really good structured work-based learning program to finish up or to capstone the experience. The only program right now that has mandated work-based learning experience is our new CDOS commencement credential, which would be 54 hours if the student is getting 216 hours of CTE skill training in a classroom, or it could be 216 hours of work-based learning without the skill training. So I think I answered that.
Okay, it doesn't appear as if we have any questions at this time. If we want to give people a few moments
All right.
to
Well,
type or raise their hand.
I appreciate their patience with our technology problems. We have
a hand raised in the audience. I'm going to unmute Joanne Schiller to ask her question.
Okay. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, Sue. How are you?
Very good.
Thanks for doing this. This is great. I really just love the refresher, and a lot of this stuff is, you know, it's really nice to get back to and kind of pull from it things that are new to me. And, of course, new to all of us is the, you know, the CDOS credential and the SAC credential.
Right.
I have a question because our school, I work for BOCES, so we're pleasing many people at the table. We're trying to accommodate districts, and, you know, one of my challenges over the last several years has been, you know, having succinct reports that, you know, people will actually read. I mean, I could write, you know, until the cows come home about, you know, students' interests, what they're doing on internships, but it seems to me that these things are not being read. I was excited, you know, to work with a career plan where everything was consolidated into one report that would actually be put on the table in a CSE meeting. A Committee for Special Education meeting that we have several times a year for each of our students. I find that what we're using, the New York State Career Plan, doesn't really encompass a lot of the things that you've trained us to work with. I mean, I'd love to put the Holland Code, you know, the students' Holland Code in there. Do you actually have a career plan that you could suggest that I use? I have not seen the one on Career Zone, which I plan to go in and take a look at. But I just wondered if you had something that you could direct me to that might be, you know, a little bit more, I don't know, user-friendly. I mean, I let my kids fill it out, but and I try to encourage them to have their input in it. But I'm still getting students who, you know, want to be basketball players and want to, you know, do guitar for, you know, for a career. And I always kind of am left feeling like I'm not really hitting the mark when it comes to their Holland Code.
Right. Well, I can tell you that the career plan in the New York State Career Zone, I'm quite sure they have redone it, and it's quite robust. It's really good. And I would say go ahead and take a look at that. What's nice about that is that you can record things in there, and they will be saved for it. But you know what? What you said that made me think of that, in a way, the career plan may not be as important as the final resume, and that in many of my presentations that I've been doing about CDOS commencement credential, I actually start with this resume. Can you see a resume on the screen? Can you see, is this showing up? The CDOS resume?
Yes.
Okay. Of course, I call it CDOS resume to make it attached to the new program. This is the end product of what your student should have in his or her hand as they walk out your door, exiting with the credential, right? The career plan is good because the career plan, most of it is, well, what I did in the past. But I'd like to see something about, well, what can I do in the future? And in this CDOS resume, it talks about what position they're looking for, what are their three most strongest skills that they have, and then it talks about that they'll achieve the credential. And then the resume is presented in the 21st century workplace skill format. You could see communications, teamwork, and leadership, what each of these things are, are examples of what they've done in their classes that an employer would want to know about. For example, teamwork. Member of a 4-member team in the preparation of the annual Career Day event. Responsibilities include setting up room, greeting visitors, preparing refreshments, making copies. This is a message to an employer of what the student can do. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I'm jumping too far from career plan to resume, but I think a really good resume almost sums up the career plan.
I like this. For my students, this would be something that, and we kind of gear our resumes toward this, but we're trying to put them in canned templates, and this is so much better. Where can I get this, Sue?
Well, certainly you can email me. I do remember you, Joan.
Thanks,
one of my very good students in the past. It's been a number of years now.
It has. Yes, it has. Yes, it has. You taught me everything I know.
Uh-oh. Then you're in trouble.
No, we're doing okay.
All right. So just email me at Sue@CareerSmarts, and anybody else if they would like to see a package of I call them my 21st century resumes. I have one specifically for CDOS, but I also have one for Marty Marketable and Annie Accountable and Clark Kent, which happens to be a resume for a student who likes journalism. I have all different ones in which it takes what they're doing in their classes and puts it into a written form in which employers would want.
Mm-hmm. Right, so, right, with a skill. Right. Yeah, love it. Thank you very much, Sue. It's nice talking to you.
You too. Same here. Thank you. So, anybody else?
We have a couple more questions.
All right. You think they'd be getting extra points here. Let's see. Go to it.
You need to take an assessment in order to have results from the Holland Code.
What was the first part of the question?
Do you need to take an assessment in order to have results from the Holland Code?
Yes. And the assessment can be a paper assessment. It could be an online assessment that we get from New York State Career Zone, or even ONET and Career Zone has, I think, now an assessment of 60 questions. Okay? In any case, have a student take more than one assessment, and don't take them all in one day. Spread them out over a period of time. The words that are used, the way they interpret the words and so forth may change their answers. They may be having a good day, a bad day. You want to make sure you get the right code.
Okay. And the next question is, does the Career Zone have the interest inventory that is free?
Oh, yes. Career Zone's all free.
Okay. We don't have any more questions.
All right. Well, again, I thank the people for staying and apologize for the technology problem. Gretchen and I were running around trying to do things that we finally found the answer, so that was good. All right. Should we say goodbye, everybody?
We should.
All right. Have a good day, folks. Thank you. Are you still on, Gretchen?
Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. As a reminder, this webinar will be available for viewing at nyctecenter.org within 72 hours.